Jeans, il nuovo profumo di Gianni Versace.
Now in 1994 we saw a fragrance release from the house of Versace, Blue Jeans. A lot of you may have smelled this, a lot of you may have this in your collection, you may know how it smells, how it projects, how it lasts. You may have full experiences with this fragrance. It's a scent that I've always had in my collection. It's very affordable and I've owned about 8 bottles of this in my whole lifetime. It's that good. This bottle right here is the newest formulation, if you like. And recently, guys, I just picked up a older bottle. I believe this is from the 90s, I think. You get a guy playing an acoustic guitar with a desert in the background. Versace Blue Jeans. On there we get Versace Profumi, made in Italy on the side here. And we just get some, really nice designs on here. The whole design itself, the backdrop, if you like, is like a denim. So it looks like a pair of jeans, a kind of design, You might not be able to tell straight away on the video, but yeah, it's got some nice designs. I really like the lion head here on the top. We get some information on the bottom here. It says here, Giver Profumi SPA Milano. And it just has, a list of ingredients, all that sort of stuff. And it's even got a reference number and, of course, a barcode on the bottom right there. And I did used to own, of course, the packaging for the new version, but it's in storage at the moment. It isn't really that much different, apart from, of course, minor differences, like the Versace logo is spaced out in the letters a bit more. In fact, you can tell here when you look at the Versace logo right here. You can see the letters are spaced out a bit more on the top, whereas on this version it's more kind of squashed together. Now, the interesting thing about Blue Jeans is there's a few batches of it, and just like most fragrances that were released a long time ago. Of course, being from 1994, this has gone through so many reformulations, and there used to be a version of this that said Versace along the top instead of course, Versace. And Versace was another line in the Versace, fragrances, if you want to call it that, which, they had a fragrance called Versus Uomo, I think it was called. And, there was even a Versus for women as well. So it went through a few changes. This actually used to be a part of the Versus line until they changed it to simply just a Versace fragrance. So very, very interesting, to say the least. Another thing that's really interesting about this is the fact that when it was launched, it came with a female counterpart, of course, Red Jeans, which you guys may have heard of. And not to mention, also in the past, there has been other, versions, colors, if you like. There was also I think there was a yellow jeans, a green jeans, and I think there was one called metal jeans and a black jeans. So there's been quite a few versions. I think the metal jeans was silver, makes sense. I haven't actually smelled those versions. And there was even one called baby blue jeans as well, which I have smelled. And that version was awesome. But of course, they're all discontinued now. It's only this one and the red version available now. But I've always personally loved Blue Jeans because to me, it's a very original scent. It's just different, and I love it for that because, usually when fragrances are released, they're based or inspired by something else. This one really isn't, in my opinion. Of course, comes from the early / mid 90s where, aromatic fragrances were coming into, the limelight. Aquatics was starting to become a thing, especially with the release of CK1 the same year. That one really pushed boundaries in terms of being a unisex fragrance. It was fresh, it was floral. This one is pretty much the same, but it's no doubt a very masculine blend. So let's get down to it, guys. We're going to spray the new version on my left wrist here. Spray is really good. You cannot go wrong with anything to do with this bottle. And once I've sprayed both versions, this is the vintage. Once I've sprayed both versions, I'm going to talk a little bit about the bottle design. So we'll talk about the vintage. I mean, they're both exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the Versace logo on the top, which is spaced out on the new version, and more squashed together on the old. So, and another thing that's different as well is the color of the juice. You guys might not be able to tell, but the new version has a bit more of a, what's the word? It's almost like a, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. It's more of like a navy blue, whereas this one has a more green tone to it. So the color juice in both of them is very different. Okay, so I've sprayed both versions, and straight away, in terms of the smell profile, I'm not necessarily judging both of them. The first impression is very good. I remember the first time smelling this, it blew me away, in all fairness. I actually thought to myself, here's a fragrance which costs less than £20 here in the UK. It smells original, it lasts quite a long time, and it gives me compliments also. And, it's just a great bang for your buck. That's what I've always thought of blue jeans. But the smell now is the most important thing. Now, it has some really interesting accords. It has a very nice aromatic feel to it. It's also very woody, citrusy. Vanilla also plays a big part of this. So, citrus and vanilla is also, to me, is always a good comparison. Is always a good combination, in my opinion. It's a very powdery scent. Floral, no doubt about it. Sweet as well is another word I would describe this fragrance. But looking at the notes, I definitely do get a citrus element to it. There's no doubt about it. With the new version, the citruses there are very apparent. There's also a very dominant lavender note in here as well. So, and lavender being one of my favorite notes, this is probably one of the best lavender scents, in my opinion, that you can buy in the designer game. Yeah, the new version, in my opinion, is very sweet. Floral, powdery, citrus, sweet. I think the sweetness is coming from this candied citrus, which I like. And of course, the vanilla in the dry down really gives it this feel as well. But it has a very strong woody characteristic to it as well. And the woodiness comes from rosewood, or to be precise, palisander rosewood, which is meant to give off this really deep, outdoorsy, woody smell. And I get it. I definitely do get it. But at the same time, what I'm gifted with is a very casual, fit for all ages type of scent, in all fairness. It's a very attractive fragrance. Lasts, again, for a long time. I get about 7 to 8 hours out of the new version, which is very good. Looking at the rest of the notes to see if there's anything else, yeah, I would definitely say that there is. There's definitely an anise character. That's something that I did forget to mention. An anise, so it's a little bit spicy in the opening. There's even a little bit of greenness going on with a bit of basil. There's even some fir needle in here as well, which gives it that deeper kind of forest aroma. And I think it goes well with that Brazilian, with that palisander rosewood, really giving the fragrance just this, deep outdoorsy, in the neck of the woods sort of scent. But whatever, from everything I've talked about, the definite strong notes in this, to me, are the lavender, the rose, and, not to mention any of the other florals. There's lily, there's even jasmine in here, heliotrope, which is just divine. It's divine. Just talking about the scent as a whole, really, really, really good stuff. And the dry down, is usually with fragrances, you do tend to get a lot of the dry down notes straight away. And with this, it's, it's no exception. There's definitely vanilla, tonka, amber's even listed, although I don't really get an amber. To me, it's more of a vanilla, sweet vanilla, tonka / sandalwood sort of scent, with a tiny little bit of musk as well, just giving the fragrance this almost barbershop quality in the dry down. But the best part of the fragrance, in my opinion, I really do enjoy the opening, because the citruses are sparkly. I think bergamot is also in here as well, even though FragranceMatt just listed citruses, including bergamot. I'm guessing citruses is like a lemon, orange, maybe a lime, all mixed together. There's definitely a lime quality with blue jeans, and that's something that I've noticed. So if this fragrance listed lime, I would agree to it. And the fact that it doesn't list lime and it just lists citruses is a little bit vague, but to me, I do get a lot of a lime quality in the opening mixed with that bergamot. And even a little bit of a juniper going on as well. Just lovely. Really, really, really nice stuff. It's blue, it's fresh, it's kind of aquatic without it being too oceanic. I would call this maybe it's definitely fougere without a doubt because of the lavender playing a big, big part in this fragrance. But, as far as aquatic fragrances can be, there is a bit of an element of aquaticness going on in the fragrance. Even though there's no aquatic notes, it gives me this feeling of summer. And, if I could wear this at the beach, I would. It would fit. It would surprisingly fit. The vintage, I would say the vintage is about 10% different. It's not massively different. Both versions are pretty much identical. But if I had to describe the vintage for you now, I would actually say that the opening is better than the new version just because the citruses are more well-rounded. I still get that whole juniper, anise, palisander, rosewood type of vibe going on. There's still some greens, but it smells to me like a fluffier scent. And what I mean by that is it's almost like it smells way powdery than the new version, without a doubt. But it has this deeper, shinier smell. And I've noticed that with a few older variations of fragrances. They do tend to smell better. I mean, obviously. But the smells of them tend to be deeper, richer, warmer. And it's just no doubt the case with Blue Jeans right here. Lavender, again, fleeting, just as much as it is in the new version. Rose is also just as strong, but I'm also getting a lot more carnation with this version. The heliotrope is the same. But as for the other white florals like the lily and the jasmine, I am also getting those, along with that fir needle, outdoorsy kind of smell. The dry down as well, I would say the vanilla is definitely richer in this version as well. It's creamier. It's not as sweet though, but it's definitely got a creamier aura to it, mixed with the tonka also. The sandalwood, and I have to say it, but I even get more of an iris vibe in this version, in the dry down. And the musk as well is definitely there. I don't really get amber or anything like that. Maybe even a tiny bit of patchouli in this version as well. So yeah, they are relatively different. But if you can find the new version, get it. Because this is a definite bang for your buck fragrance. It's less than £20 for a 75ml bottle. It's the only size it comes in. It's technically Versace's cheapest fragrance, but it's not the worst at all. Let me tell you, this is not the worst fragrance from Versace. In fact, I don't even think there is a bad fragrance from the house of Versace. They're all, different. They're all brilliant in their own way. But Versace Blue Jeans, you need to own this in your collection. If you are somebody who appreciates fragrances and you don't care about price tags, you need to get a bottle of this, because it's going to get you compliments. It's going to last you a full day. It's just incredible, incredible stuff. Now, the last part of the review I want to talk about is, of course, the longevity. Now, the longevity for the new version is about 7 to 8 hours. With this one, I get about 8 to 9. So the vintage is definitely stronger by another 2 hours. I've been wearing this today, and I can still smell it. I can smell a bit on my shirt, and it's just radiating off me. So definitely stronger. I get about 9 hours out of this. It's just excellent. Even though technically both of them are both 85% in volume in terms of alcohol and perfume oils. They're both technically the same. But this version, the vintage, over the new version, is better, although in terms of the smell, not a lot of differences. I just love it. I love this stuff. So yeah guys, that has been my video, kind of a review / comparison between two different variations of Versace blue jeans. I would highly recommend that you guys check out this fragrance. It's honestly incredible. If you are someone who's never smelt it, I think you're in for a surprise, because it's, you know, it's definitely not in the same price range as, you know, Versace Pour Homme, or any of its flankers, like the Dylan Blue, the Oud version. Those are sort of the high-end Versaces, whereas this one is definitely a low-end Versace, but it's incredible stuff. The price tag certainly does not match the smell, but with it coming from 1994, it does have a 90s DNA to it. So if you are somebody who likes to smell modern, this isn't exactly a scent you should go for, just saying, although it does technically still work in today's day and age. So, yeah. The guy who made this also created another fragrance from Versace called the Dreamer, which is, of course, my signature scent. I've always loved it. And that perfumer's name is Jean-Pierre Barthawit. So, big credit to that man for creating not only the Dreamer, my signature, but this little masterpiece also. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this fragrance and what you think of the video. Appreciate you all so much, and keep smelling good. Bye bye for now.